my God, y'all. It's wild out there right now. It's all good things, all good things.
My favorite thing is like I went to Facebook so much today to see if like, oh, what are all of my freaking family members who've been avidly supporting Trump since the beginning? Like, wonder what they're posting. All of them are silent the last few days.
My 7th and 8th grade history teacher, for whatever reason, we're friends on Facebook. He's been silent for 2 days. And it, like, his whole thing is all like Republicans. And then I went on to this other person who was my like preschool teacher. I don't know. And she's reposting like that thing from the Washington Times being like, it's Antifa. And it's like, no, it's not. Like, you're so dumb. She said, I literally unfriended her because I couldn't handle it. And then I did that with like my cousin, who I don't think I've ever talked to in my entire life. I just know that he's like, I mean, I probably did when I was a young child, but I classify them as my Arizona family. We don't talk to my Arizona family.
I literally, like, it makes me laugh
because people.
I'm like, if y'all were gonna, like, if y'all support him. Like, and if you don't all of a sudden, then condemn what's happening. Like, I'm like, I can't understand like, if this was happening for like us, like whenever those reports came out about Bill Clinton with Jeffrey Epstein stuff or whatever, I was like, yeah, Bill Clinton sucks. Like,
yeah, Bill Clinton. Gross. I'm like, never once in my life have I ever been like, you know who I like? Bill Clinton.
Aaron Tveit has.
Oof, big yikes.
There's like a video, I need to send it to you. It makes me laugh every time I watch it because, like, I know he's just talking about like politically speaking, but it's so embarrassing. Like, there's like a brain dead like extras thing on the DVD, and it was like, oh, is this a quote from Brain Dead or is it like a quote from an actual like talking head, like politician? And there was like a Bill Clinton quote, and Aaron read it, and he was like, that has to be from our show. And then like they were like, no, it's Bill Clinton. He was like, and I like Bill Clinton, and I was like, sir,
bad take.
I was like, Aaron.
Bad take. Oh my God.
But it's funny because that like video is the funniest thing on the planet, because like Brain Dead is so outlandish and like doesn't make any sense at all, but like America surpassed Brain Dead this week, like, which is so wild to me. Like, if you've seen it, which I don't think you have, like, if you've watched it,
not seen a single episode.
Is so, you need to watch it, because like me saying America surpassed Brain Dead is like the weirdest statement on the planet. Like, it's freaking gross. I texted it to my friend who was like obsessed with Brain Dead like I was, and she was like, oh my God, you're right. It's like, I hate it.
When did Brain Dead happen? That was what, like 2014, 15?
Brain Dead was 2016. It was the summer of 2016.
Oh, I was probably like, I can't do this.
Because it was the political backdrop was of the 2016 election. And like, I watched it because I was like, I know this show is going to be ahead of its time. And in a few years, everyone's going to be like, that was a good show. It was really setting us up for the next like 4 years and really set us up for 2020, which it did. And like, I'm absolutely correct when I say it was ahead of its time, because if it had come out this year, we would have all been terrified of it.
Everyone would have been like, this is too on the nose.
Yeah, because like at the time, it wasn't really too on the nose. It was just kind of being like, because it was very like nonpartisan. It was very much like both the issue is extremism. Like, that was the whole point of the show, is like extremism is the problem, which is still true. But like no one watched it because they were like, I get enough of the news. But like, it was so different from like actual life.
I remember in 2016, I was talking to my friend about something. My brain wants to tell me that we were in line at TKTS, but I might not have been there. But it was definitely a friend that I went with to New York that year. We were just like, in my head, we were in line for TKTS, and I mentioned something because some article had come out, like, this was March of 2016, so long before the election.
Yeah.
And or maybe, I don't know. I don't remember what it was, but some article coming up that was like, Donald Trump is ruining the arts industry because essentially it was like, made like some radical headline like that. And it's like, the arts are suffering because of Donald Trump's nomination. And I was like, we were both like, that's ridiculous. Like, first of all, we're like, okay, that's stupid. The arts are suffering because they don't get enough funding as it is. Right. And then I just remember my friend going, you need really long arms to make that stretch. And and now I'm like, well, now it's true. Now the arts are suffering because of him and his complete inaction. True. Right. I know. I think about that from time to time. I'm like, well, that article should have been released 4 years later.
It was so funny because like one of my favorite parts of Brain Dead, everyone on Twitter the night that this like part aired, because like Aaron and Mary Elizabeth Winstead always like live tweeted during the show and everything. And everyone was like, this is so crazy. Why would they say that like a Democrat's doing this? Because like there's a scene where Luke Healy, who's Danny Pino's character, who is like the Democratic Senator of Maryland, he was like, they gave him a choice of like which like budget to cut. And it was like NEA and like all these other ones. And so he like just real quick said NEA. And I was like, your sister is a documentarian and you're cutting the NEA budget? And it makes me laugh every time because like I watch it and I vividly remember being on Twitter that night and everyone being like, but Democrats don't cut the NEA. And I was like, everyone wants to cut the NEA. Like, don't even act like
the only person who didn't want to cut the NEA was JFK because he started it. Or wait, was it him or was it him or was it like John, who started the NEA? My brain wants to say it's him, but it could just be because
JFK
Jackie was
his biggest supporter.
Yeah,
because of Jackie.
And the way endowments work, I'd never understood it. And then when I started working in fundraising, I was like, oh, that's smart. Because what you do is you don't actually touch the money. You only touch the interest that builds on it. Like that's what you're using. You technically can touch the money if you are like desperate, but it looks really bad. It looks like really bad to your organization if you have to touch your endowment.
Like it looks desperate. Like it's like, oh,
and it is like I know of certain organizations that have, you know, had to do that because the recession. And I mean I don't know of any right now. I'm sure there are some that are reaching into their endowments right now. Yeah. Oh, no, it was signed by Lyndon B. Johnson on September 29th, 1965.
Yeah, it was after, it didn't like get officially started until after he died.
Yeah, the National Endowment for the Arts was created during the term of President Lyndon B. Johnson under the general auspices of the Great Society. Interesting. Like Thanks, Johnson. No, like he was Nope, he was also a one and done where he was like, I'm not doing this again.
I don't like him because, and this is like a stupid reason to not like him, but like, you know how much I love the Kennedy.
Vietnam?
Well, no, my main reason. Yeah, but the biggest issue that I had was like, he was a little too eager to be inaugurated. Like JFK wasn't even pronounced dead. Yeah, and he was like, let's do this, let's go. And I was like, this woman is standing next to you with her husband's brain blood on her on like her dress. Yeah. And you're out here like, inaugurate me right now. Like the country could wait 5 minutes in 1963. Like, come on. That will always bother me ever since.
Do you know what I think is insane? Is that, oh my God, I was going around TikTok back in October when Trump got coronavirus. Yeah. Oh my God, what we've been through this past year. Oh my God. Was that the 25th Amendment has only been invoked like 3 times, I think. And I think 2 of them were for George W. Bush getting a colonoscopy, which is a routine procedure, just because he was going to be under anesthesia for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
And the third was, who is the third? The third was somebody who needed surgery for something.
I honestly can't remember. All I remember is George W. Bush.
Like he had 2 colonoscopies and he was like, yeah, He's like, sure, Cheney, you can be involved. You've shot a woman, but you can be involved, I guess. Because he knew he was coming out of it. And that's like the one thing that I like respect about him is that he apparently seemed to have no qualms about, you know, handing over his power. He didn't seem power hungry. Or maybe he was, and I just don't know about it.
Yeah.
Got us into terrible shit. But the man can paint. I'm gonna leave all this in. This is just gonna be the beginning.
Oh, God.
Just you talking about brain dead, us discussing the National Endowment for the Arts, and then the 25th Amendment. Y'all, it has been a week. It's been a week. It is January 8th. We are recording
this.
Like
BuzzFeed. I got a BuzzFeed notification earlier that was like first week of January 2021. Here's all the dramatic national events, historical events America has been through.
Before we get deeper, and we will get deeper, welcome to Thoughts Shared Souls Baird. I'm Katie.
I'm Jill.
And it's been a wild first week of January 2021. They stormed the Capitol on Wednesday. It's Friday. Today his Twitter account has been just taken away forever. God fucking bless.
Some guy on Hinge tried to tell me that it was taking away his freedom of speech, and I said, no, Twitter's a private company. They can do whatever they want.
That's the thing, freedom of speech.
He can sue them all he wants, but
well, not even that. Everything, all media except like NPR is private. They're like private organizations. They can write or not write.
Shareholders, but it's a private company.
They can write and not write what they want. You can say, the only thing the First Amendment like says is that you can say something like in the middle of a crowd. You can write something in a paper and be like safe from that. Like if you publish your own paper, you're safe from that. But like, and that's only like what the government can do. But if you invoke violence, if it is censorship, but it's also like they can do what they want because they're private companies.
Isn't taking away freedom of speech. Like there's a difference between censorship and removing your freedom of speech. And
we participate in censorship constantly. Like that's what what is it, the FCC for television and film, like that's what gives it ratings. That's what says what you can and cannot say.
And like if anything else, Twitter's just protecting itself from a lawsuit because like with what happened on Wednesday, they are liable because it was started on Twitter. So I mean, honestly, they're protecting themselves if nothing else.
Yeah, and I read something, or I was listening to the news or something. I truly have just been it's been all media all week for me in my head. So I don't know where I heard or read this, but it was saying that on Twitter, there were people in like the Twitter company, like Slack channels being like, I was a firm member of the, we can't take away his account because he's the president camp. And now they've completely like, and it's not just like, and I don't think that was supposed to be taken like in any sort of like partisanship, more of just like that is what the president of the United States is saying kind of deal. But it's like what's happened this week is insane. And I just remember standing in my kitchen, painting the Metropolitan Opera House, because it's my form of meditation. And I was watching like a live stream of NBC News, and it was because they were supposed to be like affirming or whatever. Congress was like affirming
they were
confirming
tallying the electoral college votes to confirm the presidency. So
I was standing there just watching it, and all of a sudden like I expected, and I've seen protesters like in front of the White House, in front of the Capitol. I mean, I've only been to DC twice. Once when I was in 8th grade,
there's
and then
never
once
not a
3 years ago.
There's
never not a exactly. But it was when they pushed into it and made it onto the Capitol steps that I'm pretty sure I even sent you, Jill, a snap of me just going, just like I literally just said, they've made it to the Capitol steps. Like that's all I could say.
I didn't even know. Like I knew that there was like gonna be a protest. Like I didn't know that it was happening that day. I just knew that there was gonna be a protest at some point over like the electoral college voting and everything. Or vote counting. But I don't get on Twitter anymore. I go on Twitter maybe once a week for 5 seconds and I get overwhelmed and leave. And it's usually like because I have to log on for work. Like
I just check what's trending.
And even then that stresses me out. Like, so I like got on Twitter for like 5 seconds that day. I didn't even think anything of it. I just left because I was like, wasn't seeing really anything at the point that I had gotten on. And then you told me that there was a protest happening. And I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I literally responded to you with, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, I don't know what this is about. And then I turned on CNN on my laptop and I was like, oh my God. Like, I was like, this isn't a protest. I was like, this is a freaking riot. Like, this is not a protest.
Yeah, it ended up being, it was a coup. It was a domestic terrorist attack is what it was. It was wild.
I just think a lot about how like there's so many adults in my life that have been like, you've never lived through a terrorist attack. You were only like 2 years old when 9/11 happened. And I'm sitting here like the last 4 years. I've lived through how many domestic terrorist attacks?
Like, I have this like kind of like slight theory about why Come From Away is my favorite show, and it's because 9/11 is the first like world event I remember that I was alive for, because I remember like going into my parents' room being like, why haven't you woken me up? And then just like seeing the towers fall. It was insane.
It would have been way early in the morning for you.
Yeah. And I got up early because my mom took me to school. It was like
mid-morning for us.
It happened at 8:46.
Yeah.
So I just remember
my sister was in kindergarten or first grade or something like that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I was in first grade.
I don't know what our age gap is anymore.
When was your sister born?
Jessica was. I'm glad she doesn't listen to this podcast. She's like your age. She's 27 or she'll be 28 this year, so she's closer to your age than my age.
I was gonna say, whoa.
No, like I know. No,
I'm like nowhere near 28
than she is my age. That's what I meant.
She'll be 28 this year, so she was born 1993.
I'm pretty sure. I think. Don't quote me on any of that.
Well, my brother's 28, and he's born 1992. So,
yeah, she's May of something.
So I remember I was in first grade, and I just remember going to school and being like,
Michaela would have been in first grade then, because Michaela's. Okay, I figured it out. Michaela's 25, so she was first grade. Jessica was second or third grade. That's what it is.
Okay, anyway, so I was in first
really
grade, and I just remember like going up and like talking to my friends and being like, we need to be very like 6 years old. I didn't like even know what I was talking about. I didn't understand like the severity of the situation. I was just like, we need to be very careful today. We're gonna get bombed. And like first grader saying this.
Yeah. I mean, you're from like a largely populated area though, in a big.
Yeah, but I didn't grasp that I was in LA County when I was 6. I didn't understand major cities.
That's fair.
And then going to like a religious school, I remember like we sat down, like my teacher like tried to like kind of explain it to us, but we all just like sat and prayed, which was like a weird thing because we were 6, like we couldn't understand what was happening. Anyway, so that's the thing. And I was talking to my friend Kelly, and one of her first like memories of like major world events happening was like Princess Diana. Mm-hmm. And she's like, so that's one of the reasons why I'm so intrigued to see Diana. And I was like, okay, that makes sense.
I just love Princess Diana. Like
she's an icon. Absolutely.
You know my like affinity for the royal family. So like I grew up being obsessed with Princess Di and Prince William. And like I was never a Harry kid, and then like the last like 8 years or so, I'm like, who's William? He's the worst. Like I love Prince Harry.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I did a people project on Prince William in elementary school.
What is a people project?
We had to, okay, so what it is, we did it 3 different years in elementary school. It was first, second, and third grade. And I did it in the second grade. No, first grade, sorry. So in the first grade, it's like what we had to do is we had to like create like out of like construction paper, just like a human form, and then we would like color it in to look like the person, and then we would write like a paragraph just about the person, like in the most basic terms of who this human being was, because we were like 7 years old. And then like second and third grade we had to write like more and more, like more in depth or whatever. And so like first grade I did Prince William, second grade I did JFK, and third grade I did Walt Disney. Which is like the most on brand for me still. Like all 3 of them.
I remember this. We kind of did something similar in third grade. Yeah. My person was, and I don't know how I came across this or how I chose this person. In third grade, I was Abigail Adams, which is like something interesting to me, because I became obsessed with that miniseries on HBO from years ago. Wait, how many years ago is it now?
Which one was it?
It's John Adams.
Oh,
like 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
With Paul Giamatti and Laura Linney.
Yeah.
And I became really obsessed with it because I've got this weird obsession with the Boston Tea Party, or not the Boston Tea Party, the Boston Massacre. And
it's interesting.
It's literally the inciting incident of the whole series.
Yeah.
I don't remember who I was in fourth grade, but I do remember, I want to say I was probably like Martha Washington in fourth grade. We had to like wear costumes.
Oh my God.
It was weird. But the only thing I remember is I don't remember who anybody else was, except a friend I had in third grade did do Lady Diana. And this girl in fourth grade, not even in my class, but like in the next class over, but we were doing it at the same time, she was Lucille Ball. And I was like, that's so cool. She was like dressed up like Lucille Ball. And I was like,
that's fun.
I think about that constantly.
Oh, we did it in fourth grade too. We did a people project in fourth grade too. Who did I do? I remember, this is also very on brand. I've literally always been this person. Like, please keep in mind, I will not ever change my ways. In fourth grade, I skirted around the rules and I was able to do a fictional character because God. I was a great student. Like, everyone loved me because like all my sisters had been through the elementary school. So like I was the last one. I was the baby. I was always like, do whatever you want. Like, you're good. Do whatever you want. And so I skirted around and I was allowed to do, oh my God, it was either Tony or Riff from West Side Story.
Oh my God.
Because you know my like love for West Side Story.
I cannot. But you didn't have to like dress up as these people and give a presentation.
We did, okay, so every year in elementary school, we would do like, each grade had like a big like presentation, but it was essentially like a production. Like, it was like a whole performance of like something. And so like kindergarten, we did like a zoo animal thing. And then like first grade, I don't remember what, first grade is a blur to me. I don't remember anything from first grade. Second grade, we did something with like Kentucky history. I know that because like second and fifth grade are more focused on Kentucky history, like for social studies. So we did something like with either Lincoln or Daniel Boone. I don't remember. Something like that. And then third grade, either third or fourth, we did what?
I'm sorry, this is going to sound really dumb. And it is also because I haven't been in school in many, many years.
Yeah.
Daniel Boone was a real person?
Yes.
Then who was the fake person? Paul Bunyan, was he real?
Paul Bunyan, yeah.
Okay. Johnny Appleseed, that guy was real, right?
Johnny Appleseed?
He was real.
Was Johnny Appleseed real?
I want to say he was real.
I'm looking it up right now. Johnny Appleseed.
It's Daniel Boone.
Real?
And was Davy Crockett real?
Okay, Johnny Appleseed was a real person. Davy Crockett was real. Johnny Appleseed, his real name is John Chapman.
Yeah, he just like spread apple seeds across the frontier, right? Isn't that what he did?
Special.
Who is Daniel Boone? What did he do? Just an American settler?
I don't even know. And like we went to like Boonesboro like a million times in elementary school for field trips. And like I remember
that sounds like a fake place.
It's real. It's weird. They would show you like how blacksmithing works, and like the only thing I cared about was the gift shop, and I always bought like candy and shit I didn't need that had like Boonesboro all over it. And I was like, I hate Fort Boonesboro. Like it's ingrained in me now that like Fort Boonesboro was like the worst place on the planet. But yeah, like 3rd or 4th grade, I can't remember, we did like Monster Mash because our production or our performance lined up around Halloween. So like I'm pretty sure I was a ghost. And then because it's minimal effort to be a ghost. And then the next year we did 5th grade. I know for sure what we did because I was one of the leads. 5th grade we did I'm Just a Bill from Schoolhouse Rock. And I was like one of the kids that was like, hey, Mr. Bill. I was like that kid. Like I was like the lead because I was like the only kid who was like willing to stand at the microphone and sing. I can't sing. Please go. I've never been able to sing. But in 5th grade, I like full chest was like standing up in front of the whole school and all the parents. And I was like, I'm just a Bill. Yes, I'm only a Bill. And I thought I was so good. It's so bad. Oh, God.
In 1st grade, every year my school did this, like, every year growing up, it was, and they rotated. So it's like one year you would do like a grade play. The next year it would be like a full school program. The next year it would be, I don't know, something like, anyway, things like that. It may have been like every other year like that. Or there was another one lived in there somewhere. I don't remember. In 1st grade, I remember we did a spring program. I don't remember anything about it except for whatever reason, my school or my class, my grade maybe, I don't remember, did something about the signing of the Declaration of Independence, I want to say is what it was. And like, you can't just like exclude all of the little girls from that, even though there were no women. So we just like sat there in there, like wearing like fun, like period costumes. I'm sure very wrong period costumes, but still. And I just remember there was one boy. Oh my God, I had like the biggest crush on him because he made me laugh because he did like a Daffy Duck impression or something like that. Anyway,
that's one for me.
if you can make me laugh, like that's all it takes. Really.
Oh, God.
Anyway, this was in 1st grade. Anyway, so his costume, I remember him telling like us that his was just a Captain Hook costume that just like worked as like him being Thomas
He's
Jefferson.
Probably not wrong.
Yeah. And like it was probably like his mom that decided that, but
yeah.
I just remember that. Like that's something I'm always like, costumes are universal. Like those are the things that like blew my mind.
I got in trouble at elementary school for a Halloween costume I wore because it was too short. And then my teacher was like, she's fine. She's a child. Get over it. Like no one cares. Like my teacher was so, because the teacher that I had that year was
so progressive.
Yeah, she was a close family friend of ours, and she's still like that to this day. Like, still just like the most incredible woman on the planet. I love her. And like it was like a ladybug costume that like my mom's friend had made for me because I wanted this one, but it was super expensive. So my mom was like, we'll just have her make it for you. Like, who cares? She'll do it for free. And it was just like this little like mini dress type of a thing with like a little tutu at the end. And it was super cute. And I wore like black leggings underneath of it so that like nothing was showing. It wasn't like revealing or anything. And it was like cut like a tube top, but at the same time it was like I had like a long sleeve shirt underneath of it because it was cold. It was Halloween. And
can't relate. Halloween this year was like 90 degrees. Halloween is always so weird. Like I just know that when I growing up, I would get like long sleeve costumes and I would just be sweating.
Long sleeve costumes look the best though. Like, could we just discuss that for
Yeah, but like when you're drenched, whereas like I feel like for other kids growing up in other parts of the country, if you were wearing a long sleeve costume or like if you were wearing any costume, your mom still like made you put a jacket on over it. Never a thing we had
all
to deal
of my
with.
costumes were ruined as a child. Like I didn't get to have fun in my Halloween costumes because I always had to wear a coat over them. It was awful. I hated it. And now as an adult, I'm like, I don't even do anything on Halloween anymore. Like, can we watch Tower of Terror and just like eat candy?
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Going back to like school performances though, yes. In 6th, I think about this constantly. If this doesn't tell you the kind of school that I went to the school from preschool to 8th grade. It was a private Christian school. And the only reason I was sent there is because my parents worked, or my mom worked. It was close to where my parents worked, or my mom worked, because we didn't live close to where she worked. So she wanted to make sure that, should anything happen, she can pick me up. And it's not like she wants to send a kid to an out of district school. Anyway, screwed me up when I was going into 9th grade because I was not in a good mindset. Anyway, 6th grade, we did a play. You can't even call it a play. There was no dialogue. We just stood and we were like, I don't remember everything we sang, but we definitely sang that like, look away, look away, look away, Dixieland, like things that were like yearning for the South.
Yeah, I know you.
And then things that were like supposed to be like very patriotic. And this was still during like George W. Bush's presidency. So just to like take you back to that mindset. And yeah, it was wild. And then I remember at one point, it was just weird because like at 11, 12 years old, you don't really understand what you're singing, what you're saying, or I should say, at least I didn't.
Most people just like the sound of what they're singing, and that like most kids, like they just like the sound of it. So they just sing it. Like all these parents posting TikToks of their kids like singing explicit lyrics and stuff. I'm like, y'all are idiots. Like they're not doing this because they know what they're doing. They're doing it because they like the sound of the song that you're playing. And then they just repeat what they're hearing because it's like they're kids. That's what they do.
Yeah,
but like it's always made me laugh. Like people just don't realize that. Anyway,
like something I realized, like
every word of Greased Lightning as a child. I was like 5 years old singing Pussy Wagon. No one stopped me. Like I rewatched Grease the other day and I was like, I haven't watched it in a few years now. And now like rewatching it as an adult when like you were a big fan of something as a child is weird because you realize all these things and you're like, why was I allowed to watch this? This is freaking crazy. Granted, most of Grease is pretty PG, but it's like a lot of the dialogue isn't. Like that's the main issue is the dialogue and
the one thing that always bothered me about Grease is it's not just like boy gets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl back. It's boy gets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl back, boy loses girl again, boy gets girl back, boy loses girl again, boy is so much back and
emo
forth
on the planet.
It's just so much back and forth. It's like, geez.
My favorite thing on the planet is my best friend. She and I were listening to Sandy a few weeks ago. Like this was years ago.
Sandy.
I love that song. That's my favorite song in the whole show. Like, I love Sandy. But we were listening to the Grease live version, which makes me laugh every time we listen to it, because we just picture like the scenario, because in Grease live it's so much different, because Grease live is more indicative of the stage version of Grease. And it's like more of like a mishmash of the two, of like the movie and the stage. Because let's be real, the movie's better than the stage version of Grease. That's just the tea. That's the facts. The stage version of Grease is not great. But like, it's just not my favorite thing. But we were listening to it, and it always makes me laugh, because in Grease live, this is also true for like in the movie, but we were listening to it and she just kept going, you know, this makes me laugh, because he's literally like crying. He's like, oh, what are the kids at school gonna think, that I didn't have sex with this girl and she ran away from me at the drive-in? Oh no, I'm so screwed. My whole reputation is screwed. Meanwhile, she's not telling anybody. Who's she telling? She didn't have sex with you. Like, he literally gets so upset that he sings the song being like, oh, Sandy. And it's like, no one cares, Danny. Like, come on. My God.
When you're in high school, you think everyone cares so much about other people, but then you have to realize, I think at one point, I don't remember if I was in like 9th or 10th grade, maybe 11th. But it was at some point where I think my dad said something here. He's like, who's actually paying attention to you? Like, who? And then I was like, oh, everyone is so worried about themselves. They don't have the time or the mental capacity to worry about anyone else. No one cares what you're doing.
And it's not even that either. It's everyone
or what you're wearing.
Right. Like in high school, everyone's so worried about everyone else's perception of them. And it's like, no one's actually caring. Like, people are acting like they care, but they don't actually care what you're doing with your life.
And there's the point where it's like, but how are you even perceiving anybody, or are you only perceiving yourself?
Right.
That's how it is. And so like, when I realized that, I was like, oh, everyone is, I was free at that moment on. I was like, I can do whatever I want. I can wear whatever I want. Not say whatever I want. I also like, I'm not that adventurous in like what I do, wear, say, look. Like, I was like, I'll wear a dress. No one's gonna say anything.
Right. Like, I've had to have so many discussions with like friends my age, and then like my friends' siblings, who like I've kind of taken over as my siblings, because like I'm the youngest in my family. So like, it's fun to like pretend like I have a younger sibling and then hand them over to another human being. Like, that's my favorite thing on the planet. Because my mom has said so many times, she's like, if we had anyone, like if we had another kid after Jilly, she would not have survived. Like, there is no way she would have been able to do it. Like, I am such like the youngest child. Like, it is so bad. But
because you're the last of how many?
I'm 4th.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so many kids.
Yeah. And
I see, that's my parents.
So keep that in mind.
My parents, both of them, are both the third of 4 of like the 4th kids. Mm-hmm. So they're the third out of 4.
So they were like, we're not going to have any middle children. We're going to have a youngest and an oldest, and that's that.
My mom is always like, she always tells me, she's like, if I could have afforded a third, I would have. And I was like, I would have wanted another sibling. I would have wanted another brother. And she's like, what if you got a sister? I'm like, that's too bad. I would have wanted a brother. Like, at this point, it's all hypothetical.
Sisters are not that bad, but at the same time, I feel like sisters are worse than brothers.
I wouldn't know. I've never had a sister.
I have no knowledge of having a brother, but like every time I say something to my roommate, Evan, she's like, what happened with you guys as children? And I'm like, but her and her brother have such a big age gap that I feel like that also plays a role into it, where she's like, yeah, no, he would terrorize me, but it was not that bad. And I'm like, oh, so sisters are worse. I'm like, that's neat. Love that.
I wouldn't know. All of my friends growing up, they either had, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say they were either single, they were either only children, or they had a brother. But then I was like, no, one of my friends has like 7 siblings, but they're all way older than her, that they like helped raise her. They essentially helped raise her.
My oldest sister and I, Jessica, we're like the closest out of all four of us. Like Jessica and I are super, super close. And it's because like growing up, like we were Lilo and Nani as kids. Like that was literally what people would call us because we were so close. And she was like another mom to me. So like she was literally like a little mother, like taking care of me all the time. Like when I moved to Virginia for school, my mom was like posting pictures of me like walking into like my dorm and everything, and my sister was like literally in tears. She was like sending us pictures just like crying. Which I think is so funny.
Oh my gosh. Well, we've talked for essentially an hour.
About nothing.
About nothing. We've talked about our performance experience growing up.
I had way more than that, but like we can.
Oh, so do I. So, oh my God, there's one part where I think about it constantly and I repress it. Like, don't remember that. Don't remember what you did when you were 7. Don't just like stop. Anyway, Jill, where can people find us?
On Instagram and TikTok, we are at Thoughts Shared Podcast. And I'm not even going to say our Twitter. I'm going to delete our Twitter. We don't use it. There's no need for us to have a Twitter. So
also, it's always, if we're going to delete it, fine. But it's always bothered me that it's Thoughts Shared _.
Like that's also why I want to delete it, because I'm like, this is disgusting and I hate it. So I'm just going to delete. Because maybe you can't have podcast. Like,
well, could you do
podcast it? I tried that and it was like, nope.
Well, anyway. Yeah. Instagram and TikTok at Thoughts Shared Podcast. If you want to follow me, I'm Katie. You can follow me on TikTok at Katiefornia and on Instagram at Complete Katie. Jill, do you want to go? Just sitting there looking at me.
I'm exhausted. I am at It's Jill Hayes on everything, every platform, except for all of them. I have everything.
Do you?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Sounds fun. Bye.